is 25 degrees Celsius here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, and 23 degrees Celsius in Ekiti, where voters are getting set to elect a new governor tomorrow. Well, without re-elect or elect a new one, as the case might be. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. Sunrise Daily. I'm Maokbe Okunyusuf.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Kayla Megwa. Yes, indeed, a very big day that they're planning for in Ekiti State. The players are ready. The set is all ready. Everyone is getting ready. And we're looking at how we can even talk to maybe our correspondent, because we have quite a team in Ekiti State going to bring you everything blow by blow, letting you know exactly what's going on in that state. And to the good people of Ekiti State, hey, good luck as you exercise your franchise tomorrow, Maokbe.
Well, indeed, Kayla, elections are usually quite exciting. And they're supposed to be exciting things, really, because it's a contest, and people love to watch a good contest. They want to see the umpire, you know, moderating, or let's say umpiring fairly in this particular instance. INEC is the umpire everyone's eyes will be on. In a moment, we'll be hooking up with our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluwade, to give us an overview. From what we understand already, it's raining in Ekiti, and Ekiti is one of those states that constantly, you know, has an off-cycle election, and it just so happens that this particular election has fallen right smack in the rainy season. So we hope that the weather will be dry tomorrow. Otherwise, people might need to go out, perhaps with some covering for the rain. And I do not know if they'll be accused of using the party insignia as a result of that. We do know that campaigns
that would be a nice trick. That would be quite the trick. Oh, it's raining, so I had to get my party umbrella.
As the case might be. But we do know the campaigns are over. Today is campaigns were over yesterday. As of midnight yesterday, campaigns were over. So political parties are supposed to have stopped campaigning, canvassing. But we do know that they always find ways around these things. I believe that by now, though, citizens would have had their minds made up as to who precisely they want to vote for. We do know that the list is quite lengthy, and our correspondent, well, we're not allowed to mention any political parties today, so I do not know if we'll run the risk, because by mentioning the names of the candidates now and their political parties, maybe we might be running foul of the code. But we do know that INEC right now is deploying materials. I think they've already deployed to the racks.
I was actually going to get to that.
Go ahead.
So just so we can give you an update on the current happenings in Ekiti State. So there's intense activity. Electoral officials and security forces are finalizing logistics. Distribution of election materials is ongoing. So INEC has moved and distributed all the sensitive election materials across the 16 local government areas. Security has been deployed. The IG deployed a special team led by Commissioner of Police Abayomi Shogunle. Security forces are going to be guarding flashpoints to prevent political violence or vote buying, which is very important, especially in these elections. Final preparation checks. The INEC chairman, Professor George Amupiton, recently concluded high-level meetings in Ado-Ekiti to review the final voter registry and ensure the integrity of the voting process. And for that political climate we're talking about, campaigns have ended. And all the leading candidates and everyone who's going to be a part of the process, we shall not be calling their names, all their political parties, they've wrapped up all their mega rallies, and residents are advised to stay updated via the INEC notices, keep their permanent voter cards ready, and safely locate their designated polling stations ahead of tomorrow morning's election. So we're looking forward to how all of that is going to unfold, and good luck to the people of Ekiti State.
Well, one of the things that we'll be looking at is, we already said all eyes on INEC, even though INEC continues to remind us that it is a multi-stakeholder process. There's so many stakeholders involved. They're just the lead agency. For instance, you just spoke about security agents, and we do know that while the police is the lead agency in this instance, we also usually would see other deployments from the NSCDC, from the customs, from immigration, from all the paramilitary agencies that exist in our country, you know, usually will have a hand. And we want to believe as a result of that, that they will be keeping tabs on developments within the state and making sure that not only at the polls secure for all to attend, but that this issue of vote buying. In previous elections, I think we've seen the EFCC being deployed to elections as well to keep voters in check with this issue of vote buying. The CSOs are also on the ground, to keep us updated as to what they are noticing, observer groups, observer missions, study groups, as the case might be, to also, see what exactly is happening. So we will be keeping you posted. We did tell you that we'll be hooking up with our correspondent, Kumbi Abuluwade, in a moment. And we did tell you that the climate in Ekiti is very cool this morning, 23 degrees Celsius. It's raining as we speak. So we do hope that they find a dry spot to set up and give us at least a mood. I hope that the rain doesn't dampen the current mood in Ekiti State. But quite a lot of things for us to look at on the program this morning. We're going to be looking at the judiciary, the ruling that came from the Southern Crown Court from the UK yesterday, acquitting and discharging Mrs. Desiani Alison-Madueke over the charges of bribery and embezzlement that she had been facing for a few years now. We'll also be looking at how prepared our judiciary is ahead of the 2027 elections. Do not forget that the appeal court just recently had to call the court of Federal High Court to order, given a decision that he reached, which was disrespectful of the hierarchy of courts. So we'll also be looking at that in just a moment. Not to take too much of your time, we'll take a break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.
One of the most closely watched corruption trials involving a former Nigerian public official has ended in complete acquittal here in London. After more than 5 months of proceedings and over 46 hours of jury deliberations, a jury at Southwark Crown Court has cleared former Nigerian Petroleum Minister Desiani Alison-Madueke of all 6 charges she faced, including 5 counts of accepting bribes and 1 count of conspiracy to commit bribery. Her co-defendants, her brother Doye Agama and oil industry executive Olatimbo Ayinde, were also found not guilty on all charges. The UK's National Crime Agency had alleged that while serving as Nigeria's petroleum minister between 2010 and 2015, Alison-Madueke received luxury benefits, including cash, private jet travel, chauffeur-driven vehicles and designer goods in exchange for influence connected to oil sector contracts. Throughout the trial, all 3 defendants denied wrongdoing. Today's verdict represents a major setback for the National Crime Agency following a lengthy international investigation, and it brings to a close one of the most high-profile cases ever brought in the UK against a former senior Nigerian government official. For Alison-Madueke, who became the first female president of OPEC in 2014, the verdict marks a significant legal victory after years of scrutiny in multiple jurisdictions. But while the criminal proceedings in London have now concluded, questions surrounding governance, transparency and accountability in Nigeria's oil sector are likely to continue long after today's verdict. Juliana Olayinka reporting for Channels Television News at Southwark Crown Court.
Well, that was our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka. Before I said Desiani. We were discussing the Desiani matter, but that was our correspondent, Juliana Olayinka, right in front of the Southern Crown Court, giving us a summary of what transpired in court today. The judge gave that verdict. But I'm sure that it would have hit the Nigerian political, socio-economic scene, with mixed feelings. So this morning we're going to be getting a judicial, or let's say a legal perspective on this matter. Mr. Monday Ubani joins us now. He's a senior advocate of Nigeria, and I mean, by extension, it means he's a legal practitioner by all means.
Thank you for promoting me to a judicial officer.
He's a legal, I had to quickly correct that. He's a legal legal opinion. The judiciary has finished its own opinion, and they have vindicated her. She is free of all bribery charges brought against her and charges of embezzlement as well.
That's correct.
But given all that you know about this case and how our system works here in Nigeria, and all that was brought before his lordship in the Southern Crown Court, which was also out in the public space, do you really believe that this is over for the former minister?
Thank you for having me. I don't think it's over. It is not a judicial declaration of innocence in other crimes. What she was charged in UK is actually for bribery. Now, the onus of prosecution in criminal proceeding lies on the prosecution, and the standard of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. I know they have a jury system. Now, the allegation against Desiani in UK Crown Court, is that she was given luxury gifts, was living a lifestyle, of superstars, those in the music industry. Their accommodation, when she's coming in private jets, and then their own allegation is that those were funded by contractors in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria who received maybe juicy contracts. So when you are alleging bribery, you are linking that bribery to the fact that those who were giving her that luxury lifestyle were getting juicy contracts in Nigeria in the oil and gas industry. So you have proved bribery, but you have not been able to link that lifestyle to contracts they have actually been given or secured in the oil and gas industry, which she, as a result of that, influenced her to. And so her own defense, of course, is a reportable defense, a crime allegation. When you allege somebody has received bribe, you must link it to the official function of that officer in the place where she was working. And so her own defense was, I never awarded any contract directly by myself to these people. There is a structure in place how they got contract. And they found out that there was no link whatsoever with the lifestyle these contractors were giving her to the contract that she had allegedly given them in Nigeria. And so in that, you have raised doubt in the mind of the jury, because the judge will summarize these facts and then the legal position and then ask them to go and reach conclusion. And these are men and women in jury system that are made up from various professions. So they are not lawyers. Some may be lawyers, but the point is that they are looking at issues now from the presentation, from the evidence. So when they couldn't find any link to those luxury lifestyle that those guys were giving her to any official position, I think that they have given her here in Nigeria, the doubt was resolved in her favor. The principle of criminal prosecution and the sentencing and all that, it is better for 9 accused persons to go scot-free than for 1 innocent person to be convicted wrongly. So anytime in criminal prosecution, the prosecution fails to really prove all the ingredients of offense, one is the issue of mens rea. The second is the issue of actus reus. That must be the act. There must be the intention. So if you are not able to establish intention, then there's going to be a problem. So when they found that particular gap, they resolved that doubt in her favor. That is actually what happened in the British court.
Yeah, but clearly that doubt has not been resolved in the minds of the public.
Yes, like you, yes. We need to resolve it.
No,
we resolve it this morning.
Not in my mind. You cannot see my mind, unfortunately. But given all that, because let's put it out there that the prosecution listed all of these alleged offenses, and of course, a lot of people would have been wondering, this lifestyle, by what was it funded? Is it appropriate for a public official, serving in a government to live in this manner? Is it okay for them to do so? So how do you think that will eventually be resolved, if it ever can?
No, the point is that for the fact that she has been declared innocent, acquitted in English court, does not mean that she cannot be tried, even on the same facts here, because different sovereign jurisdictions. We all are independent. That must be made very clear. Now, if she is being tried here, the only thing is that that particular acquittal will only be persuasive, which only probably strengthen her case. But it does not in any way mean complete innocence. We have to go through the entire process of proving again beyond reasonable doubt before the judges that are in Nigeria. That is what's supposed to be done, because there are other charges of money laundering, abuse of office, breach of public trust. There are so many other things. But because what was tried in England, it's important we make this very clear, is bribery.
So,
bribery.
So let's talk about the case in Nigeria. In fact,
Yes.
the EFCC said they have a pending 5-count criminal charge against
Yes.
and oil businessman Jide Omokore for conspiracy and bribery. So that's a
Yes.
different thing altogether.
Yes.
So the EFCC had previously, they got this arrest warrant,
Yes.
and it started the extradition process. At least that's what I kind of remember from that. But following this acquittal, there's an EFCC official who's confirming that the case has not been abandoned, and they're still seeking to have a face trial in Nigerian courts. How do you think that's going to work out? Do you think the extradition is going to happen? Is she going to be tried for these cases? Are we going to watch Madame Alison-Madueke go through our court system here?
Yeah.
And then, and back to, just to to what Mark was talking about, the visual of the kind of life that she was living here. I remember when they started showing those jewelries, bustiers that were golden and things like that. So those memories stick to the Nigerian psyche. So would it be wonderful for many Nigerians? Would it be great to have her come back and face the law here for, even if it's just for the perception that the Nigerian people have of her?
Intelligent question. It's important she also comes to the country, Nigeria, and clear herself through our own legal system. Very, very important. Because as I said earlier, the only acquittal she secured in England is about bribery. And they could not in any way tie that bribery to certain contracts that were given to those who were sponsoring her. Remember that I understand that the former president, Jonathan, also gave evidence in her favor, saying that people in public service, receive such gifts, from, individuals, and not necessarily for corrupt, maybe to have influence, to be close to somebody who is controlling the oil industry. So that was the evidence. It's a rebuttable evidence. I mean, when somebody makes an allegation, you have, the onus now shifts in criminal allegation of bribery. That, you have received bribe. Quite right. Even in our Nigerian ICPC and EFCC Act, gratification is a crime.
Yeah.
But the point is that immediately that particular act is proved that you have received gratification, the onus now shifts to you, the defense. Say that this has nothing to do with my official position, never influence any of my decisions that I made in favor of any of those who have given me the money. So these things are very important. So if she comes back to Nigeria, there is allegation of abuse of office.
Yeah.
There is allegation of money laundering. There are so many other allegations again. So it goes through the crucible of our judicial system. And the evidence must be very strong.
It's not double jeopardy, though.
No.
No, it's not, because it's not the same case.
It's not, even if it's the same case, because we are not sharing the same jurisdiction. It's important we mention this.
Yeah.
When you say you cannot be tried again, double jeopardy, I think it is a Latin word, atrophois acquit. It is only within the competent jurisdiction of the same sovereign state, not when it is in another country, right? Because they are different countries entirely and different legal system. So she can be tried here in Nigeria, even on the same fact. But the point is
on the same facts.
Yeah.
Don't some people describe that as witch hunting?
No. So the point is this: the government now will now choose the one they can concentrate upon, because it is the same witnesses you may likely bring in. Because EFCC rendered assistance, remember, to UK government in order to prosecute her. So the same documentary evidence you are going to present. If those documentary evidence and those witnesses could not, help prosecution in England to convict her, so you choose your battle. Will I still want to rely on those witnesses? Will I still want to rely on those documents in order to prove the same offense here in Nigeria? So you choose your battle. Rely on those offenses you think you have very strong evidence from beginning to the in order to secure conviction. Because it's not about trial. It's a question of, in trying an offense, what is the strategy of the prosecution? What do you want to achieve in this? Is it to make name that you have taken her to court, or to secure conviction? Or to probably please the public, oh, you have put this person on trial. So your intention is to convict. So the issue of possible evidence, the strength of evidence is very key, because the court will look at it, from the point of view of reasonable, beyond doubt. In criminal prosecution, as I said earlier, the principle is it is better for 9 persons who are really guilty, let them go scot-free, than for 1 innocent person. So it is always important that you don't create any gap in prosecuting a criminal offense. If any gap is raised and seen, it is always resolved in favor of the accused person. That is what goes on. So I'm saying that EFCC now will not choose their battle. Which of the charges do we think we have a strong evidence in order to secure conviction? So they go for it. Not that you charge 20 charges and all, I don't secure conviction in one.
Let me quickly, because I was about to take you up on this issue of the judiciary ahead of the 2027 elections,
yes.
To also switch gears there. But, one thing was coming to my head with regards to this Alison-Madueke case, which has now flown out of my head. So let us go back to the judiciary ahead of the 2027 elections. During the week, we saw the Court of Appeal deliver a very scathing verdict on the justice delivered by, the verdict delivered by Justice Peter Lifo of the Federal High Court, saying that he did not respect judicial hierarchy, he is unfit for the bench, using very strong words, so to speak, in describing what they termed as very grave disrespect for judicial hierarchy. I don't know, and this on this party deregistration matter, which some lawyers, senior advocates like yourself, have justified that Justice Peter Lifo's judgment was sound, and I think it's important to say.
Did I say so?
No, not you.
Okay, fine.
I said senior advocates like yourself. Before the Court of Appeal reached that verdict, about 2 senior lawyers had come out to say that that judgment delivered by Justice Peter Lifo was sound in itself, especially with the deregistration of political parties. That was the bone of contention. Now, but the hierarchy of judges, by courts, was not taken into account by these lawyers, which was basically where the Court of Appeal, had taken an issue. But what you see, because Justice Peter Lifo delivered this judgment on one day, in less than 48 hours, or about 48 hours, the Court of Appeal had delivered, its verdict, blaming.
No, just stay in execution. The verdict.
Stay in execution of that verdict. So I'm just wondering, which was very timely, given what it is. So would you say that the Nigerian judiciary is really ready for these elections as we go, as we get into the polls for 2027?
Well, I'm not from the judicial sector, but I'm a lawyer. I think they are. They have a very important role to play in our electoral system, because they determine even primary issues, leadership issues of political parties, and even when the election itself has taken place. People will run to court to say the other person did not win the election and all that. So it is still the same court that will do all that. So the corrective system is there, which is what happened in this particular case you mentioned. If there is any wrong decision or anything that's taken at the court below that is actually wrong, the Court of Appeal comes in, in order to correct it, or possibly the Supreme Court, finally. And so, in Justice Lifo's matter, we've discussed it, we've written about it. What I saw in that case is that it is only INEC that the law gives power to the register. INEC shall have power. When you are given that power, it is an exclusive power that no other arms of government or no other institution should interfere in terms of, if somebody is saying, oh, INEC refuses to perform the official function, yes, you go to court, writ of mandamus. The court will now order INEC to perform that official, but not that the court will substitute his own opinion. So the moment the court says, I'm ordering you, and I'm also asking you not to receive candidates, also I'm ordering you not to participate in the election, it then means that the court itself is the one doing the duty that's supposed to be done by INEC.
So the court has usurped that role?
So because INEC said, we have evaluated, because that particular power given to them, gave them power to do administrative evaluation. After they have written to the political parties and say, you did not comply with this, political parties will reply. INEC will look at their reply and their response and say, evaluate. Are they in breach of Section 225A? If they're not in breach, they filed a counter affidavit in that case and said they were not in breach. And they are the one that's supposed to do that responsibility of evaluation and giving a report. And the court said no, that in his own finding, he found out that they are in breach. That cannot be the duty of the court. And we've said that much, so that should be determined.
And I just remembered the question I was going to ask you, because, you know, see, the verdict which the UK Crown Court reached in this matter,
yes,
it's a very interesting one, in the sense that you have justified how they got to that verdict, that, you know, it's better for 9 people to walk scot-free than one innocent person taken prisoner, as the case might be. I sometimes wonder if that decision had been taken in a Nigerian court and the perception that would have come out of it. And this is the same court, because it would appear that at every turn, the Nigerian judiciary is always on trial. Would you say that our people are enlightened enough as to the workings of a court and how the judicial process works, given what has now come? I'm trying to see if I can relate it to now. Given what has now come as judgment from the UK Crown Court.
You make heaven for asking this question. Let me tell you this. A lot of people have been actually acquitted in Nigeria, politicians. And then the thinking of Nigerians, towards such cases is that the judicial system has been compromised. And some of us have undertaken this responsibility of advocacy and teaching and telling persons that, look how the law operates. The law does not operate on sentiment. It does not operate on the newspaper report. The man that is sitting there as a judge is really, really ignorant of all those. It is on the facts, what we are presenting as evidence, that is going to look at, especially in criminal issues, in criminal matters. I've told you the principle. So if any person is charged and the prosecutor fails to really adduce strong evidence that links that crime to that person, it's going to be difficult. And it's difficult to convict public officers because there is a structure of how contracts are awarded. It passes through process. And most of these people you charge to court are not the ones that sign. Their signatures are not on the papers. And then you are charging them in order to convict them. And you cannot be able to link any of those monies into their account. The money enter into the account. Most times those monies, the Eneke debate says that since men have learned to shoot without missing, these politicians, they build a structure and they are careful not to sign anything. Most of these politicians, you think they're corrupt, they are careful not to pen their signature in anything. So it requires a lot of intricate understanding of how the system works in order to get that person whom you have charged, to be liable criminally in Nigeria. And so when the judges look at these facts you are presenting and they don't tally, there's a gap. It doesn't link to that individual, and they say the man is not guilty. Then the next issue is that, he has compromised, he has taken money. What do you expect? In fact, already accusing the British court of taking money. That British love money, that they may have been bribed. But all those jury, those men listen, they don't. They look at facts. They're ignorant of whatever you've written in your papers and all that. They're looking at what you have presented. You said he took bribe. Those bribes were given because of the juicy contract they've gotten. And it was this woman that is there to give those contracts. They traced it, they could not link it. So gap, they resolve it in her favor. So what I'm saying is that it's important that in doing rushing to court over criminal matters, involving politicians, you need to be very, very methodological, strategic, and then the complex economic structure they put in place, you must pierce it and be able to link crime to them. If you don't link them, there is no judge that will sit and based on sentiment and say, let me convict this man because the people's public opinion is in favor of conviction. It doesn't happen that way.
Oh, Mr. Monday Obani, I believe that this matter because we understand that Nigeria still is interested in the matter. So we'll see how that eventually proceeds here in Nigeria. But we have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Daily this morning and giving a perspective on the issue. Thank you. Mr. Monday Obani is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Well, we understand our correspondent, Kumbi Aboluwade, is ready for us now in Ekiti, where it's raining. I don't know if it's cats and dogs or it's just a light drizzle. Well, she's out in the public, so we can see that it might be a light drizzle. Kumbi, good morning, and thank you for being able to stay under the drizzle. I hope it hasn't dampened the excitement that should be accompanying the polls tomorrow when they eventually open.
Kumbi, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Good. All right, Kumbi. So talk to us, give us an overview of what's happening in Ekiti. How is the mood? How are the voters? What are you seeing on ground?
All right, so good morning again. It's less than 24 hours to the much anticipated Ekiti State governorship election. And it's been a wet morning, actually, here in Ekiti State. We're just at the Obafemi Awolowo Civic and Convention Center. And of course, because of the rain, I'm sure residents are just trying to get out because the intensity just reduced. But from what we can see here, it's very peaceful here in Ekiti State. We did see some security operatives, go around the town yesterday. And so far, so good. It's just peaceful, a good morning, and a beautiful weather here in Ekiti State.
So talk to us a bit about distribution of materials. Have you been following what INEC has been doing, and just the transportation bit of this, and the mood of the voters in Ekiti? Could you talk to us about that?
Right, so because of how we came in yesterday, we've not seen much of that, right here in the city. But then we will monitor activities here. But we do know that the Nigerian police force promised that they will deploy about 12,000 personnel for this election. And then on another hand, the NSCDC said they would deploy about 10,000 of their personnel for this election. And so far, so good. A peace accord was signed, of course, on May 21st, 2026. So we expect that this election will go, smoothly with no hitch or interruption whatsoever.
How confident are we that we're really going to get a contest? We do know that, yes, there are few contenders, but there are those who say this is just a crowning. Do you get the sense of that from the elections or from the preparations so far, or do you think that there's actually an active contest going to happen tomorrow? Okay, I suspect there might be something wrong with my connection.
Okay, welcome. If you can hear us.
Last question.
Yeah, so
I can now.
Okay, so are we looking at what Malcolm was asking was, many people don't believe this is going to be a real contest. Some people think this is going to be some kind of coronation, like a formality. Do you get the sense that that may be the mood of the people in Ekiti?
Somewhat that way. We can't really put to it because, we just arrived here in the state. But yeah, I mean, campaigns are over. They actually stopped yesterday, and from what we can see, the voters or the residents here are looking forward to exercise their franchise tomorrow. But for now, we can't really say whether or not it's going to be a coronation or it's going to be an election. So, but definitely, we will monitor activities and then report accordingly.
Smart answer. Well,
one thing I like in Ekiti is the pounded yam. They have very good pounded. So enjoy the local. Oh yeah.
If she has time to eat. I hope you have time to eat.
You have time. Go out, eat something, enjoy the city, and thanks for your report.
Thank you so much. Our correspondent there, Kumbi Abuluwade, who is part of the team of reporters led by our political editor, Shewo Kimbaloye, who will be joining, giving you an overview of what is happening in Ekiti as they go into the governorship elections tomorrow. Well, we'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll be speaking with Laolu Akonde, who is out in the United States. We'll find out why, and when we come back from this break, please stay with us. Mr. Laolu Akonde joins us now. He is the presenter of Channels Television's Inside Sources, and he's all the way in the UK. You have since moved, because initially I was sure that you were in the US. Are we getting this mixed up?
No, I'm still in the United States.
Aha, so I don't know, there's a misinformation we've heard in here. Aha, so tell us about this, shall I say congratulations? I guess congratulations are in order because we understand that US-based Nigerians are honoring you as well as President Donald Trump and a number of top officials of the United States in efforts in combating insecurity in Nigeria. Can you tell us about this just a little bit, what they've told you in terms of your contribution? And, of course, the intervention of America has been somewhat controversial, but I know it's a stance that you have since defended and you believe can make a world of difference in terms of where we are in the fight against insecurity in Nigeria.
All right, thank you, Marco, and good morning. So there is the group that is called the Save Nigeria Group, which is a coalition of, quite a large number of US-based Nigerian associations that are concerned about issues around insecurity in the country. A good number of those groups that form the Save Nigeria coalition are, Christian leaders, and also the American-based groups that are concerned about what is going on. So the coalition is going to be having a gala on Tuesday in Washington, D.C., where they're going to be doing what they call Heroes of Faith Award. And so they are honoring the U.S. President, Mr. Donald Trump, for his clearly decisive engagement on the Nigerian insecurity. Also, people such as Congressman Chris Smith from New Jersey, Riley Moore, I believe from West Virginia, and quite a few other officials. And of course, they have also indicated that how we also be receiving an award for being a voice of truth regarding some of these crises that is ongoing. So that is the event for which I am primarily in Washington, D.C. area at this time. Now, the group before the gala on Tuesday will also be holding a rally on Sunday in front of the White House, just to keep under pressure to ensure that the U.S. engagement with Nigeria in fighting insecurity is sustained. So those are the two main events. But other things are also happening here in Washington, D.C. For instance, the new ambassador of Nigeria to the United States, Ambassador Kayode Are, has also clearly hit the ground running. He has started holding engagement with leading Nigerian professionals in the United States, trying to explain, what his own mandate is to engage them to work on Nigeria's image and also to see how it is that it can build a consensus and common ground, even between Nigeria and the U.S. in fighting security. So quite a lot of things are happening in Washington, D.C., for which I will also be sending reports.
All right. Just quickly clarify this for us. This Save Nigeria group, was it the same Save Nigeria group that, coalesced in 2012 under the same one that had Pastor Tunde Bakare in it?
No. So that's, I also asked them, that, because that name was also used, but when they said that this is a US based, so it's not that same one that was based in Nigeria. This is a US based Save Nigeria group. So they call it Save Nigeria USA.
All right. Okay.
So I see there's going to be a Save Nigeria rally.
Yes.
Could you talk to us about that? And I see evangelist Dr. Alveda King, that's the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., is going to be a special guest of honor at that rally. Maybe you could talk to us about that. What's it supposed to achieve?
Okay, so the rally is going to be in front of White House this weekend, where Nigerians and US, and Americans who are concerned about the security situation in Nigeria, they want to rally around the fact that the US government, specifically President Trump and the Congress, should maintain the momentum. I think there was a bit of concern while the Iran war was going on, that was taking a lot of the focus away. That's the view of some of the activists here. And so they are holding this rally, and a good thing, the Iran conflict seems to have been sorted out. So essentially, the rally is to just maintain the pressure on the U.S. government to sustain its engagement, to sustain its focus in trying to deal with the Nigerian insecurity challenges, especially the fact that many of us believe that quite a bit of genocidal killings are going on still in Benue and Plateau specifically. So the rally is just to say that, look, the work is not done. We still need a lot more U.S. involvement and engagement to help us deal with this situation. Yeah.
And you've been saying this for many years. The concept of our insecurity has been described by you and many other people as a mixed bag of different things happening at the same time. One of them, in your view, being genocidal killings. So maybe we can get you to talk to us about something else. We've been talking about the acquittal of Diazan Madison Madueke, and what that means. In fact, we didn't have enough time with Dr. Ubani. One of the things I wanted to ask him about was the concept of the registration of political parties in itself, but we'll get to that in a bit. Let's talk about your views on this acquittal, and then we can go to the matter of our courts here and how they're preparing themselves for 2027.
All right. I mean, it's a very exciting news about Alison-Madueke, and what I would like to say is that so she should come home and just get this matter sorted. She should come home and go through the EFCC cases against her, for which quite a significant portion of her property have been forfeited. I think the time is now right for her, to come and defend herself in our own country. And let's see where the pendulum goes. Look, the fact that cannot be denied is that while she was minister for petroleum resources, there was this strategic alliance, that was entered into by the NPDC and arm of the NNPC, where oil, worth $3 billion, were lifted without any kind of payments or royalties or taxes, under the scheme that was called Strategic Alliance. And while we were in the villa, we were able to gather enough evidence to indicate that Alison-Madueke, and two other Nigerians were those who were actively involved in those strategic alliance. Were $3 billion worth of Nigeria oil. And this was at a time when oil was selling for over $100, $120 per barrel. So if the UK courts, have not been able to convict her of corruption, related charges about her lifestyle, and stuff. Now and now she feels that she's free. She has been justified, and she didn't do anything wrong. Then I want to encourage her, come home, and defend your name. Let the cases be tried there. Stand and defend your name, and let's see where the pendulum goes. The truth of the matter is that $3 billion of Nigeria's oil were lifted. My dear sisters, $3 billion, and there are no records of any kind of payments, under what was called strategic alliance. So this is a very important situation that it will be a very good thing for her to come home and defend her role in all of this.
I'm just a little curious as to if the Nigerian courts also find her not guilty. Will it be a verdict that the Nigerian people will accept?
Well, so that's the point. I think, based on what she has said, that she didn't do anything wrong after, that decision and ruling by the UK court, I think she should come home now. And we have to accept whatever it is that the court say. My own point is that we can't say that because the UK court hasn't found her guilty of bribery charges, that so-called disappearance of $3 billion of Nigeria's oil money it did not happen. No, we can't just wish that away, that it did not happen. We know that happened. So I think she now has the opportunity. She has the confidence, to say that, okay, yeah, you guys bring it on. And whatever the courts decide, that is why we say that is the rule of law. We will all have to accept whatever the court decide. What we shouldn't accept is that because she has been discharged and acquitted in this UK court, where she was charged for bribery and corruption, because instead they couldn't find enough evidence, that does not wish away the fact that under her leadership in the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, $3 billion of Nigeria's oil were lifted without any kind of payment. She needs to come and explain to us, what happened. And then the courts decide up or down how that should go.
Part of her defense in the UK was that she wasn't final authority when it comes to certain matters, especially in her ministry. Yes, she was the Minister of Defense, but we do know how the Nigerian oil structure or the industry is structured in such a way that even after her, we haven't seen a substantive Minister of Petroleum Matters, yes, since she left office. Usually, the president is the one who is the de facto minister, so to speak. Is it something that we really want to open? Are we really sure that we have the political will to push such a case, given where it could lead at the end of the day?
Well, I think the case is still open. I believe it's in the Federal High Court in Abuja, and the EFCC is the one that is in charge of it. I think that, both ourselves and all of us Nigerians, we deserve some kind of closure, as to what happened with those strategic alliances. I don't think as a people we should just let it go. We are talking about $3 billion, Markwe. I don't think we should let it go without, a proper closure. Now, she's gotten some closure that she wasn't, they couldn't find evidence about bribery and corruption. Okay, and, for her, that's a good thing. Now, she needs to come to Nigeria and sort out this. Look, we have to give credit to, look at somebody like Alison-Madueke. Alison-Madueke, fought his own case, and he was vindicated. Okay? So is that kind of courage that Madueke should also come home to come and deal with it. When we are making those allegations, we're not convicting her, but we are saying that, look, we have evidence that under your watch, this was what happened to Nigeria's oil money. You owe it to yourself, Madam Madueke, and you owe it to Nigerians, to say that this was what happened. You need to come and tell us your own side of the story in the courts, so that all of us as Nigerians, we should have a closure. Nobody...
Mr. Konde, it's interesting you keep saying the Nigerian people, and I'm sure that the Nigerian people will have no problem with her coming to take. I think it's the political elite. Do you think that they have the political will to be able to push for such a case to happen? I think that's the question I was trying to put across to you.
Well, so we will have to see how it goes. I don't want to speak for the political elite because, yeah, you're right. I don't know what they have in mind. I can only speak to what I think ought to happen. Whether there is enough political will to sustain the case. The case is still open in the EFCC, I believe in the Federal High Court. So I can speak so much whether there is political will to continue the case. You are right about that. I can't really speak to that. But I think, so that Madueke can, really sort herself out, just like Adobe has commendably done. She should come home and defend herself.
And in fairness to him, he's also published 2 books to that effect.
Absolutely. That takes a lot of courage, and the courts have vindicated him. And the man, is standing in his name rightly. Nobody can impeach his integrity once that has happened. Madueke should come home and do the same.
It's a fine place to leave it. Unfortunately, we couldn't touch the judicial matter of political party deregistration. But we do say our congratulations to you and wish you all the very best as you sojourn in the United States. Mr. Laolu Akonde joined us. He's the presenter of Channels Television's Inside Sources, which is being commended today in the United States, and also a former presidential aide. Thank you once more. Kelly, I'm sure you're looking forward to the end of Friday. Well, you still have one more show today, don't you?
Yes, I do. I have hard copy today. I have hard copy today. And Mr. Sunday Dari has been gracious enough to speak with us today on the program. So we'll be getting the presidential side of things on a lot of matters: security, the economy, 3 years of the Tinubu administration, and all of that. And they have a tour of the Southeast going on right now. So yes, we'll be talking about that this evening at 7:30.
So keep 8:30.
8:30.
Keep a date with Kayla on hard copy. Thank you so much for watching this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Business Morning is at the top of the hour. I'm Kayla Megwa. Enjoy your weekend.